Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of True Picks, where we talk about everything that happens in the NFL season. And we are here to talk about Week 16. But I should not say we. Unfortunately, it is just me this week. The schedules could not align too well with Chase. And so I have his picks, and we'll be bringing them to you for Week 16. But we have a lot to talk about as it pertains to week 15, the week that was. So let's look at how Chase and I did with our predictions. And, a little bit here and there that didn't go right. Chase definitely was picking the Chiefs in that Chiefs Chargers game for sort of, I guess, reverse jinx reasons. I took the Chargers because I just had a feeling that they were going to win. I did not anticipate that they were going to win because, well, not because of, but in part due to an injury to Pat Mahomes. And while I am not, obviously, if you guys are watchers or viewers of this program, you know that neither Chase nor myself are fans of Pat Mahomes as it pertains to him being able, as you know, him and the Chiefs, and myself being a Broncos fan and Chase being a Chargers fan. We never want to see injuries happen to anybody. So the way that ended, that's going to completely change the landscape, the picture, everything you want to talk about for the AFC playoffs. It officially eliminated the Chiefs. That loss, it's the first time in I think like 10, 11 years that the Chiefs aren't going to be in the playoffs. And more importantly, it's the first time that Pat Mahomes' season is not going to end in either the AFC Championship or the Super Bowl. So it's an incredible kind of changing of the guard moment. The question is, when you're changing the guard, part of how that works is that it has to be a permanent thing, right? You can't just have a one year anomaly, 1 year blip, and then it's back to things as regular scheduled programming. That's not really changing the guard. So for the teams that are currently in the playoffs for the AFC, outside of the teams like the Bills or let's say the Steelers, right? Because Rodgers has been in and out of the playoffs a lot when he was in Green Bay. It's on you to kind of show and prove that this is not going to be a one and done. And there's a specific team I'm thinking about. And for Chase, there's also a specific team I think he is thinking about as well when we get there. But when we get to the playoffs. But I think one of the big shockers coming out of the week that was the Ravens and the Bengals. I know I picked the Ravens simply because I really like that Ravens defense. And I think that I was saying that as we get more and more into the running game of Derrick Henry, it felt as though it was going to be a little bit of a ball control situation. And man, it was just a wild situation to see the Bengals handled in such a way. And their season pretty much like it's ended. They're eliminated. And the Ravens holding on for what it seems to be a showdown with the Steelers. They're in that hunting race with the dogfight with the Steelers to try to get into the playoffs as the AFC North champion. So it's as hard as it's going to be. And yeah, that was just surprising. Not because people were saying, "Oh, the Ravens are such a bad team." It was that Burrow has been on fire, especially last week when he was playing against the Bills. And that was such a shootout, such a bang bang, like your best against my best against your best. Such a game that to come out the way that they came out against the Ravens, it just looked so wrong, right? It just looked so bad. So it's just one of those things that it's like, man, what's going on? And Davion, you're absolutely right. It was a wild week 15. And Joe Burrow and the Bengals weren't having fun last week. No, they were not. And I don't want it to like turn. I know Chase and I both are fans of the teams that we're fans of, but I don't necessarily want to turn it into too much of in essence, pod about our teams. But an incredible win for the Broncos. He and I both picked the Packers. The argument clearly was that there has to be a game that Denver's going to lose. So it makes sense that it would be the Packers. I mean, it also makes sense that it would be the Chiefs, before the Mahomes injury. But the Packers were a well-oiled machine of dominance, of at least being in games. And that's really what you need in the NFL. It's to be in games because as you can see from yesterday, Thursday Night Football's banger of a game between the Rams and the Seahawks, All you got to do is try to be in it, because if you're in it at the very end, it doesn't matter. You can pull off a miracle win, as we saw with the Seahawks picking up that incredible win over the Rams yesterday and securing however long they have it, control of the NFC West and the NFC itself. So to be in it, that's really what you got to do. And the Packers always were able to do that. So part of what made that win so special was that Denver really they were beating up on Green Bay in the second half of the game. And of course, for Green Bay, losing Micah Parsons is absolutely incredible. It is such a blow to the team, because that's the guy. That's the defense. For years, that was the defense of the Dallas Cowboys. Like, yes, you have Diggs and Bland, but at the same time, you knew they were able to do what they could do because of Micah Parsons. And more often than not, Micah Parsons was doing what he was able to do independent of them. Like, it wasn't even a situation where one is feeding the other, right? Like, you can have great coverage from a middle linebacker, and that allows your cornerbacks and safeties to do what they can do. But you can also have great coverage from them that allows players like Micah Parsons to be able to get after the quarterback. He could do it independent. So losing that kind of a player for a defense like Green Bay, it's really, really going to be interesting, especially when you're leading into what they're going to have to deal with this week. And they also lost Christian Watson in that game, and that's going to be, I don't think he's playing tomorrow. But speaking of which, let's get into what we have to talk about for this week. Now, credit where credit is due. I did not pick the Thursday Night Football game, but Chase, when he sent me his picks, he did say he was picking the Seahawks, going with home field advantage for the Seahawks as they win this game against the Rams. So I don't think he anticipated it happening exactly the way that it did. I don't think anybody did. The Seahawks did make history. It was the first time in NFL history that a team won in overtime off of a 2-point conversion, which, you think, well, that's pretty incredible from the standpoint of now. Well, it's incredible in the sense of, like, it's just never happened. But in this recent time period where we've had teams both getting the ball, you would think, oh yeah, now it's getting a little bit more of that college aspect where, like, you eventually have to go for 2 every time just to try to beat the team and just, like, end the game. But we haven't had to see it happen. And so now to see it happen, it kind of makes sense when on a game or on a night where Puka Nacua is going 12 for 255 or 225 and 2 touchdowns. Matthew Stafford's just throwing incredible passes. We have Sam Darnold kind of sort of silencing the doubters, at least for 1 week, right? At least for a week or 2 weeks, Sam Darnold can rest easy and go, there's not going to be people talking shit about me, because he's a very much maligned quarterback. And to be able to show out and prove that he can be the guy, the reason why they win, incredible. And of course, Zach Charbonnet randomly picking up a ball, just as, like, it's on the it's in the end zone. He's going to pick it up and give it to the refs, and it turns out it's a live ball during a 2-point conversion, and that's really what helps get the Seahawks to win. Incredible, absolutely incredible. But let's talk about this week's games. There's a lot of games. No more teams have buys anymore. There's a lot to get to. Let's get into it. On Saturday, tomorrow, we're going to have 2 games. We have an early game of Commanders hosting the Eagles and Bears hosting the Packers as a 7 p.m. game. This Eagles-Commanders game, it feels as though it is, I don't want to say a trap game in any way, shape, or form, because the Eagles are better than trap games, but that is kind of what a trap game is, isn't it? Like, you anticipate winning, and the other team doesn't really have much to play for, or they're not that great on paper, and all of a sudden they come out and stun. I don't think that's going to be the case here, but it is one of those situations where the Commanders, who have shut down Marcus Mariota, I'm all over the place today, but they've shut down Jaden Daniels for the season and will be going with Marcus Mariota for the rest of the season. Mariota's not a bad quarterback, right? Like, it's not inconceivable that he could win this game. They'll be doing it without Ertz. They'll be doing it with Ben Sinnott. For tight end, Terry McLaurin at least is there. Chris Rodriguez is running back. They have pieces to potentially win, but the Eagles are a suffocating team. Like, if the Eagles can get up, they can suffocate teams, and that's really been one of their strengths. And they do it against bad teams. The Commanders aren't a bad team, but it's too much of a pressure situation for the Eagles, especially because you think about it, you win, you're in the playoffs. And that's how Chase leads off his pick, saying Eagles, just win and you're in the playoffs. But the Commanders always love winning late in the year. I have faith the Eagles will show up. Yeah, like this is a situation where if we get the Eagles the way they're supposed to be playing football in late December, early January, like that's what we're going to get, then it should be an Eagles stomp. Let's turn to the other game of Saturday. Far closer money line, right? Again, I have to anticipate if Watson was still there, if Micah Parsons was still there, that this would be a much different money line. But the Bears have home field advantage, and it is a situation where the Bears need to hold on to this control of the NFC North, because they know, and Ben Johnson knows, that if he loses this game, they really can't win the division. They would have lost both games to the Packers, who would be the division leaders, even if the Packers kept stumbling after this in week 17 and 18. The Bears would have, it just would not be mathematically possible. So the Bears know they have to win this game. This is the game where you pull out the stops. This is where, and it's tough because it's a game where the Packers are coming into it hurt, but the Bears are also coming into it hurt, right? Like they're not going to have Rome Odunze. They're not going to have Luther Burden. This is a situation where the Packers have to get after Caleb Williams, who's going to really just have DJ Moore. He will have Loveland. I know Kmet's a little banged up, and I think Swift's a little banged up as well. What the Bears like to do is run the ball. They really want to run the ball. And we've seen this recently with Monangai and Swift being this like dual-headed or two-headed monster. And it's worked out pretty well because historically that is Bears football, right? Like Ben Johnson is sprinkling in a lot more of this high-octane, high-passing offense. But at its core, the Bears are a run team. They're a run team. Not having to deal with Micah Parsons, hey, that's a great way. That's a great recipe for success when it comes to running the ball. I'm going to take the Bears, but this is a real coin flip game, and looking through it, this is the closest odds out of any of these games, and there's a really good reason. This is the NFL's most historic rivalry, the most long-seated rivalry, if I remember right. This is the NFL football. This is football. And the Bears have to win this game to keep control of the division and kind of cement it with getting back the win, that the Packers have over them. And let's look at how Chase is thinking about this. He's picking the Bears. The Packers are still a good team, but I think Ben Johnson and the Bears know what potential they have in this game if they win. So going with a hungry Bears team. Yeah, like you can't afford to lose this game if you are the Bears. Like this is kind of your season in the sense that, yes, you still are going to have week 17. You're still going to have week 18. I think one of the games is against the Detroit Lions, and the Lions are 8-6. So like it's not as though that game will be just, not important. But at the same time, this really is the moment where you can, if you force the Packers to be 9-4-1 and you're 11 wins, that's like you have the division. You can afford to lose the Detroit Lions game in that sense. So let's turn to Cowboys and Chargers, and this one's fun. I would have loved in a different world to and yes, Davion, you are right. I think the Bears will get their win back, but it's absolutely going to be tough, regardless of whether or not Micah Parsons is there. It's still tough because, like we saw last year, what happened with the Bears and the Packers, and Micah Parsons wasn't there, right? So it's a situation where we have Ben Johnson, we have this offensive mind, but we do have injuries. The Packers have injuries. Who wants it more? And this is a great example, a great time to say, this is an example of good, better, best. Well, let's turn to Cowboys and Chargers. And in a different world, it would have been fun to put Chase on the spot because he famously called the Cowboys winning the NFC East at the beginning of the season. I took the Eagles and I was like, I don't know, like the Eagles haven't shown me anything yet to say that they shouldn't be. And the Eagles have absolutely stumbled, right? We've seen that there are weaknesses, but the Cowboys just could not do enough or get enough going. And losing CeeDee Lamb for a couple games here and there, it takes its toll because Pickens is an amazing receiver, but like there is something to be said for having that dual threat. And you do have CeeDee Lamb back in this game. I think he's questionable, like with an illness, but like I think he'll be playing. But it would have been fun just to see Chase have to pick this game if the day prior, the Eagles and the Cowboys were a little bit more neck and neck when it comes to control of the division. That being said, I think I know where he's going on this, so I'll read his prediction first. 3 words. It says Chargers, comma, RIP Cowboys. So, like I said, he is now in a position where I think he is, whether or not he thinks the Cowboys are a better team or the Chargers are a better team, I think he's picking solely based off the fact that he needs the Chargers to go punch for punch with Denver to try to get control. He wants control of the division. Also, because it looks like unless you're, I think actually that raises an interesting question that I would like to figure out right now. Let me see. Okay, that's not exactly what I wanted button-wise, but let me just take me there. Yeah, so the Patriots are 11-3, the Chargers are 10-4. So it's a situation where if the Patriots took another loss, you could be in the situation if you're the Chargers, if you're able to beat out Denver, not only would you take the AFC West, but you could take the 1 seed potentially. And that just gives you an extra week to get some rest and recovery for your offensive line. And that, I think, is going to be the tail of the game here because the Chargers offensive line is so beat up and so hammered that they are allowing pressure to hit Justin Herbert. And Herbert's been managing the pressure very, very well to the best of his ability, like bleeding from the hand in some situations, like we saw against the Eagles, surgery on his hands, coming back the same week to play. He's doing everything he can, and having someone like Marion Hampton back, they're still keeping Kamani Vidal like super involved in the game. And to me, that's why the Chargers want that 1 seed, right? Because that extra week of extra week of rest, you allow Hampton to fully get back. The question is, can they get it? Can they get that extra week of rest? I don't know if they're going to be able to do it, but I think we will know after this game whether or not the Chargers defense is ready for the NFL postseason for the playoffs, because this Chargers defense has been playing extremely well, but the Chargers also have not been playing that many teams that have incredible offenses. Like they played the Chiefs, they beat the Chiefs pretty handily in the sense that they controlled, but the Chiefs aren't that great of an offense this year. They beat the Eagles, but it took overtime, and they were very scattershot in allowing things happening with the Eagles. Some of those interceptions were very ticky-tack, like just kind of tip drill situations where they weren't really forcing it. They weren't forcing the interceptions. They were lucking into them. And that's something that they need to be able to shut teams down. And the team before that was the Raiders. So it's like they have not the past couple of weeks been playing incredible, like world beater teams. And that's kind of what I want to see when it comes to the defense. And here they are they're going to be playing against one of, if not the best offense on paper when it comes to the NFL this year in the Cowboys. And the Chargers, who are 8th in points allowed, are going to be going up against one of the best offenses. But I think I'm going a little above and a little waxing too much on the Chargers and this Cowboys game, because I think we know where we're going. It's unfortunate because the Cowboys, their fans are deluded. I will say that, but like this team probably deserves better than it's getting. But it is a situation where that defense, despite the fact that like you trade away Micah, you get Quinnen Williams, you get Kenny Clark. Like it takes time to get them where they need to be and to get that cohesion. And that's really the offseason. I think the Cowboys defense is going to be much better next year. And it also will depend on what they do with the picks that they got for the Micah Parsons. trade. And I will say one other thing is that Jerry Jones has come out and said we are interested in re-signing Javonte Williams because Javonte is right now on a 1-year deal, and I think that's really interesting. Javonte Williams is a great running back. I wish that he had been able to get back to this level of health with Denver because I would love to have kept him on the team. I don't know if they would have drafted RJ Harvey if they had still had Javonte Williams, and I don't really know who exactly I'd rather have, Harvey for the future or Williams now. But it is a situation where a lot of teams, a lot of mock drafts and a lot of different projections have tied running backs to the Cowboys. And I still think that they should draft a running back. But if you know you have Javonte Williams and you have Jaden Blue, Phil Maffa, Malik Davis on the roster, it allows you to be a little bit more flexible about when you draft running back, which means you can spend one of those earlier picks on your offensive line, or it allows you to pick on your linebackers, which you're going to need because you lost Micah Parsons, right? Like your run defense is getting better, but you still need that secondary level / someone who can pull edge rush, which was Parsons' specialty. Let's turn to this next game, and I get that the money line is very even because both of these teams are like they're fun to one of them's fun to watch. The Giants are absolutely fun to watch. The Vikings, it can hurt to watch. Though the Vikings last week, Sunday Night Football against the Cowboys, they made it fun to watch, right? I'm gonna take the Vikings here simply because I like enough of the Vikings offensive playmaking ability with Addison, with Jefferson, with Hawkinson. It is one of the situations where as JJ McCarthy gets more comfortable, and we saw him get a little bit more comfortable, progression, right? It's just about little steps forward. As he gets more comfortable, they have the playmakers to take what he is able to do each week as it improves to the next level. Like it's Justin Jefferson. Of course, I think that if you can get him the ball, even if it's 5 to 8 yards downfield, he will turn that into something a lot more. Like I believe that, and I think we have had enough proof of that. Jordan Addison, if he's able to get into a soft spot in zone coverage, and you get him the ball, it'll turn into something. Same thing with Hawkinson, and it's a situation where as long as he continues to get better, JJ, that's really what you're looking for. Meanwhile, on the Giants side, they're super fun to watch. They're a fun offense because you can see like what the potential is, and you can look at it and go, man, if / when Malik Neighbors gets back, this is going to be on fire. However, they have to get Jackson Dart to learn how to protect himself. And on the one hand, like I remember talking about when they first fired Dable and Kafka was elevated as a head coach. I was like, this is a guy that has gotten a lot of looks for head coaching gigs prior to this. So they're basically getting a free interview, or he's getting a free interview. They're getting a free look at him. But it does not seem to be working out too well, just from what we're seeing in backstage meetings and things like that. What I will say is that I think the team, regardless of who the interim head coach is and the offensive coordinator and all that kind of stuff, they owe it to Jackson Dart to try to get him to protect himself more. Like just from like a sheer human level, the idea that, yeah, I may not be on this coaching staff next year, so who gives a shit in the sense of like whether this kid actually learns to protect himself when he's running. But from a human level, like try to take care of this kid. Jeez. Looking over at Chase, he says Vikings Giants are pathetic, which I mean I wouldn't say pathetic, but I know what he means. Let's see, Browns and Bills. Before we get that, Giants gonna beat that football team. You know what I don't understand is this whole thing about this Giants defense was supposed to be one of the anchors of what made them good this year, and like that's independent of whatever happened with Malik Neighbors and Cam Scatterbo, right? Like you can make the argument that like in a different situation, The defense is super tired because the offense is not giving sustained drives. But Jackson Dart is getting sustained drives. Like he's getting drives. Like you're getting the rest. So you should be getting pass rush. You should be getting stopping the run. You should be doing all these things. It's I don't know. It is a weird situation there in New York in the Meadowlands, and yes, Giant fans are not happy about Joe Shane still being employed. I think it's a situation where Shane's going to be gone probably after the season. I think it's just one of those situations where they're letting him kind of finish out because why not? What are you going to do with like? It's one thing to have it's one thing to have an interim head coach, right? It's one thing to do that, but the interim GM, like that's harder to pull off because you need to be somebody who has knowledge of salary cap, knowledge of signing players and bringing people in, elevating people from the practice squad, releasing play, all that kind of the money stuff and how that all works with it. Like, because you don't want to set up a situation where this guy is because he's an interim GM and he's not 100% on the ball with these things, that he is doing bad decisions that can affect the next year. That's really what you're trying to avoid. I can't believe Bradford. Hey, if anything, Davion, that is a testament to Brian Burns. Like that's the way you got to look at it. It's a testament to Brian Burns. But let's talk about the Browns and the Bills in one of the more lopsided money lines. You can see that I just realized I did not take the time or I did not have the moment to, you know what? Let's just do it now. We'll do it live. I did not have the time to change over the colors because I'm looking at this and I'm like, why is these things red when they're supposed to be green and these things green when they're supposed to be red? So while I'm doing that, we can talk about this game because there's really not that much to talk about when it comes to this game. The Cleveland Browns are a team in the sense that they are an NFL team, but similar to the Vikings and similar to the Giants, they are kind of going nowhere. And it is kind of a shame because this has kind of just been the MO for all of these Cleveland Browns teams over the years. And you don't want it to happen, but at the same time, it does feel like it's a little bit of an inevitability. And the question is why? Because there are ways to solve it. And we're seeing that there can be ways to solve it with Shedeur, with Harold Fannin Jr., with Quinshon Judkins. But part of it is also, are you having a staff put in place? Are you having a coaching staff put in place that's going to help people? And Kevin Stefanski, I'm not saying that he looks checked out, but like it seems as though he's kind of sabotaging Shedeur Sanders. I'm not 100% certain. And the real key here is, can the Bills win against a generally stout defense? And most importantly, will Myles Garrett get that sack? That's really what the question of this game. I don't think he will. The Bills have been doing a pretty damn good job of keeping Josh Allen upright. Then again, it is just one sack that he needs. So why, like, he's Myles Garrett. He had like 3 back-to-back sacks on the play, on a single drive. So why wouldn't he be able to do it? And I'll put nothing past him. But like, it'd be cool to get it against the Steelers, right? Like next week they play the Steelers. So, but I don't think anybody be surprised with this one, picking the Bills. And let's look at what Chase has to say about this. He did not put these in the order that I did. So, he's taking the Bills. And he's saying, I hope Josh Allen just falls down once for Myles Garrett. Like, yeah. Like that's really what it is. It's can the Bills stop the sort of inevitability of Myles Garrett? Can Myles Garrett get that one sack that he needs to make history? That's the question with this one. Yeah. Like, yeah, I don't know how this organization is still running. Let's turn to Saints and the Jets. And, listen, I've been saying this for a while. And, Chase and I were both kind of on the train beforehand, before the season started. Tyler Shuck is not a bad quarterback. He he's old. He's old for sure for what they want out of a quarterback. You don't want the rookie to be 26. I get that, turning 27, but like he's not terrible. So it is a situation where can you build around him? Sure, why not? Why can't you build around him? Yeah, he'll be 30, 31 by the time his rookie contract's over, but hey, we're seeing players play a lot later in life when it comes to the quarterback position. We're also seeing that the salary cap goes up and up. So paying a larger amount of money to a player who is 31 years old trying to get that second contract, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. I'm sure the Saints would love it if he was 22, 23, but he's not. He kind of takes people as the way they are, and they knew that drafting him. But they are showing with Kellen Moore that he can build around a young quarterback, youngish, in Tyler Shough, and they can win games. And that's really the name of the game. And I've said this multiple times now. I think Tyler Shough has played himself into the starting job next year. And I'm sure they'll bring in somebody to compete with him because that's what a responsible organization should do. And we're going to get to a irresponsible organization in a couple games. But a responsible organization brings in competition. I think they will. Man, as for the Jets, this is not what Aaron Glenn wanted for the first year, but it is, I think, kind of what he knew would happen. The question is going to be, can they build from it? You have the pieces. You need the quarterback. You have the draft picks now with the Sauce trade. And you're just kind of hoping, if you're a Jets fan, that Phillip Rivers does well, but not too well. But, hey, Phillip Rivers almost beat that Seahawks defense. So we'll see what Phil Rivers does. I'm going to take the Saints. Let's see how Chase is feeling about this one. He also is taking the Saints. He's saying Shough should be the starter next year. Yeah, like Shuck's played himself into the starting position, and it is what it is. Aaron Glenn told Steve Wilks, "Hey man, the 49ers may have recovered from your defensive disaster. We can't because we are the New York Jets. We are the New York Jets." Let's turn now. This is a really fun game. This is a fun one. Panthers, Buccaneers, control the NFC South, playing for the honor of either facing the Rams, the Seahawks, or the Niners. You kind of feel bad for him, right? Like, you kind of feel bad, but like, hey, if you just win more games, you wouldn't have to worry about this. And I get it. It's a competitive league. It's the nature of the beast. And there's always going to be one division that's led by a terrible team. Like in the AFC, it's the AFC North. The Steelers and the Ravens are in a dogfight to win it, but like neither of them seem that dangerous this year. A team that does feel dangerous, though, is the Carolina Panthers. They're on a bit of a heater. Bryce Young is looking better and better. Ted McMillan is looking better and better, getting more comfortable within the game. He's looking really good. He's coming out and is supporting the quarterback, making sure that Bryce Young finally has really good downfield threats. He had Adam Thielen for a while there, but Ted McMillan seems to be the guy that's going to be there for the next 10 years or so. Well, maybe not 10. Like, negotiations are what they are, but he's going to be there for 5 years at least. This is a situation where the Panthers can really help this turnaround by winning a division title, because like it's partial. Like, obviously you're guaranteed the playoff game, sure, but like it is just that ability to look at it and go, hey, you saw where we were 2 years ago. You saw where we were last year. Look at where we are now. It is getting better, and that's the name of the game. They don't have all of their running back situation figured out, right? They paid that money to Chuba Hubbard. Chuba was a starter. He went down. They had Rico Dowdle in on a 1-year contract. Rico took off. Now Chuba's back. They're kind of doing this sort of very poor man's Monty and Gibbs situation. We don't know exactly what it's going to look like for next year, but they're doing things. They're trying things, and some of it's working, some of it's not working. On the flip side, the Buccaneers are like back to full strength when it comes to the offense. Evans is back. Godwin is back. McMillan's back. Igbuka never left, but now he's kind of dropping down that depth chart a little bit, and I don't know how exactly he's going to supplant any of those three, because McMillan was having a breakout season last year and was looking really, really good. And now he's got Ibuka behind him, so he knows he has to play well because there's only so many mouths to feed. Cade Otton's back too, but something seems a little bit off with Baker Mayfield. I don't know 100% what it is. I'm just saying, like, from the eye test, like, he doesn't look right. And I know he's got the AC joint sprain, of course, but like, it just something feels like there's something wrong headspace wise. And I don't know if it's like a crisis of confidence, if he just doesn't feel comfortable because of the injuries and different things like that. But he is overthrowing or missing throws that somebody like Baker Mayfield normally hits. And I think that's going to be what changes this game. It is a sort of a situation where you either one of these teams, this is the, like I said, to start this preview, this is the battle of the NFC South. But I don't know how either of these teams fare in the playoffs once they get there, because they should get beaten. Like, the Buccaneers looked like a really good playoff favorite / Super Bowl contender, and now something just Todd Bowles just seems, if there's somebody who seems out of it and it's Baker, Todd Bowles seems way more out of it than Baker Mayfield. And that's the reason why I'm going to take the Panthers over the Bucs, because the Panthers just seem like they want it more. They just seem like they want it more. I mean, except for Mike Evans, who was freaking pissed off that the Bucs gave up that 3rd and 28 down to the Falcons last week. Let's see how Chase is thinking about this one. Where's he got this? Oh, there it is. Buccaneers versus Panthers. He's also taking the Panthers. They win when they shouldn't, and they lose when they shouldn't. That is the Panthers way. Yeah, that is very true. Very, very true. Gavion saying this game is tough. Neither of these teams will be a playoff threat. Yeah, it's just, I don't know what it is exactly with the Panthers, in the sense that they have this such a hit or miss moment. I think they are they need to be glad that they are a playoff team, or probably a playoff bound team this year. And I know it's probably going to hurt their draft stock a bit, because they're still going to lose. They should still lose on wildcard weekend, but they've had moved up enough where, like, they're not, you know, they're not picking as highly, but you're still going to be able to get a talented player in the draft. And I think that's really what they need, is to kind of just cement this youth movement and build through the draft. And yeah, you know, in a, like, end of next year, you're going to have to pay Bryce, but if he's getting you to the division, he should be getting you in the division next year. And you kind of know, right? You kind of know who he is. You kind of know what he is. If he's got to get paid, he's got to get paid. That's just the nature of the beast. Todd Bowles looking like he's tired and wants the season to end. Yeah, Todd Bowles looks like he wants the season to end by, like, week 3. I don't know what, like, he just looks like he wants the season to be over by, like, week 3, week 4. He's like, I'm done with this. Like, it was fun for the past month, but, like, I could take a nap. Like, that's just kind of how Todd Bowles comes across. Like, that's complete monotone whenever he's answering questions, which was why the fact that he got fired up against, when he was talking post-game out to the Falcons, I just don't think that that's going to be enough of a fire. I don't think it's enough of a fire to get them the win in this one. The Panthers are doing the Bailey gimmick when it comes to their football games. Yeah. It is a funny situation. Let's move to Dolphins and Bengals. I'm going to start this time with Chase's preview, and his is very straightforward. He's taking the Bengals. Both teams are done, and the Dolphins are making a quarterback change. Interesting stuff, which is where this is what I was alluding to earlier. This is what I was alluding to earlier with the good teams bringing competition, because over all this time, the Dolphins really never brought in competition for Tua. So they kind of were forced to roll with Tua whenever a season started. Like, Skylar Thompson wasn't really pushing him, but at least Quinn Ewers is a good enough quarterback that they can be like, okay, let's see what he has. and let's see what he has against actual teams. He was a very highly touted prospect coming out of Texas. He didn't get drafted that high because of just other mechanics and things like that he lacks, but he showed that he can win in high pressure situations. The question kind of was that because of Texas or was that because of Quinn Ewers? And that's also part of why his draft stock fell. It's gonna say a lot about him, how he comes out in this game, knowing that he's the starter, not being pressed into service because of an injury or anything like that. It is also very telling, very, very telling that Tua is not even the second string quarterback. He is the third string emergency quarterback if anything happens to the previous two. That's pretty telling. They are done with him. They are trying to figure out how they can move on from that contract, which, speaking of moving on, that is where the situation with the Bengals is. Joe Burrow seems as though he wants out. We don't know if that's for certain. Is it a question where he wants out? Is it a question where he wants to be able to decide or have input on the head coach? Like he wants to be able to get Zach Taylor out of there and get the head coach that he wants in there. This is an organization that, to be fair, we talk about how stingy Cincy has been when it comes to paying people and things like that. But they've kind of bent over backwards to give Joe the people that he wanted, right? Like they're paying Chase, they're paying Higgins, they're paying him. And if you're going to get those people paid, there's only so much more money that you can have. And even with salary cap, is what it is, guaranteed contract time, you try to defer it with void years, all that kind of shit. There's only so much finagling of the salary cap that you can do. So it kind of is on Joe Burrow for some of this stuff, because you are responsible for, you're the franchise quarterback. They're paying you $50 million a year. Like, you got to get wins. You got to do and you can't have what you did last week against the Ravens. Now, is Burrow going to make the argument that it's, offensive coordinator, it's Zach Taylor, it's the defense? Sure. But there's a $50 million buck that stops on your desk. Yes, it can be the head coach. Yes, it can be the offensive coordinator. But it's also on you to make the throws. It's also on you to make the plays. That's the nature of the beast. If you want to be considered the Pat Mahomeses, the Josh Allenses of the world, like people blame Sean McDermott if the defense messes up in Buffalo. They don't blame him if the offense messes up. They blame Josh Allen because Josh Allen's the guy. So that's the situation here with the Bengals. And I think that he's trying to use this as a leverage play to be able to determine who the next head coach is. And I hope the best for everyone involved. I think it's the easiest way to put this. But it took Mike McDaniel until week 16 to say that done season. He had opportunities, but I think he was relying on the idea of, if I get the ball into Devin Achan's hands fast enough, either through handing it off or through the short passes, and then I sprinkle in a little Darren Waller, a little Greg Dulcich, and a little bit of Jalen Waddle here and there, just to keep defenses honest when it comes to Devin Achan, I think we can win some stuff. And they were having a bounce back. But there's a limit to how much you can bounce back when Devin Achan gets rib injuries. There's a limit to how much you can bounce back when Tua is still finding a way to throw picks. So yeah, he probably didn't even look in Zach Wilson's direction. Hey, that's a Denver Broncos backup quarterback legend right there. Joe Burrow and Cincy can have fun in this game, and if the Bengals lose here, Zach, Duke, and them folks got to go. Yeah, it is a situation where if they lose, especially this game, like, it's not even a question of like you're super favored. It's like you're playing a rookie quarterback. Like, Quinn Ewers is a rookie. Like, you should be able to beat him from an offensive standpoint. And going back to the previous game we were talking about, Mike Evans' 1,000-yard streak is over. Yeah, it does suck because like he would have to get like, I think like 200 240 something yards a game for the next 3 games in order to pull off that streak. And I just don't think that's going to happen. But I mean, we've seen a couple times where Baker has hyper targeted Evans in order to get him across, especially last year when we missed like 2-3 games with the injuries. But the numbers is just it's too monumental. It's too superhuman of a task to try to get those yards. It's just I just don't think it's going to happen. Which, let's turn to this one. Oof. Can you believe? Okay, so think about this for a second. I will read Chase's preview first, but let's just think about this for a second. The Chiefs currently have Rashee Rice out. I think he was ruled out today. Pat is obviously not there. Pat Mahomes. It's Gardner Minshew starting. And the Titans are underdogs. Hold on. Let me make sure I wrote that down correctly, because I'm fine. Like, come on now. I had to have botched this. No, I did not botch this. They are plus 136 underdogs against the Chiefs, who are negative 158, favored to win this game. So, okay, back to what I was saying. Is this any more of a strong indictment for how bad the Titans are? Like, you're not even favored to win when you're the home team. The lead receiver for the Chiefs is out. But more importantly, the multiple-time MVP, Super Bowl winning quarterback, Pat Mahomes, is out. And it's Gardner Minshew. And you're still like, I get that, but like it's almost an even line, right? It's not as close as Bears Packers, but like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Oh man. Like I said, I'm gonna read his first. You know what? I don't even think he picked this game. He put Rams, Seahawks, Eagles, Commanders, Bengals, Dolphins, Buccaneers, Panthers, Bills, Browns, Rambo. Yeah, he didn't pick this game. I'll figure out. I'll ask him who he wanted for this. Well, let me know. I have a feeling he would pick the Chiefs just because of how abysmal the Titans are. I'm also gonna pick the Chiefs because holy shit, are the Titans abysmal. Speaking of exactly what Joe Burrow was kind of potentially been like hinting at or insinuating, they were asking Cam Ward about the hiring process for the new head coach. And he said he wants to be involved. He said he wants to be there in on the conversations. Now, has Cam Ward earned the cachet to be able to say that at these meetings and things like that? Like, I want to be sitting in on the meetings. I don't know. Maybe not. But you know, if you are the Titans, that you're going to have him for the next at least 2-3 years. Like, we've seen a willingness to move off of a quarterback. Like, they moved off of Will Levis, but Will Levis was a second-round pick. Cam Ward's 101, et cetera, et cetera. He's going to be around for a while. Maybe there's an argument that he should be involved in some of the conversations. I don't know. Like, it could be weird. It could be, weird to have that person there and have that level of input, especially when they haven't really done much. But if he's going to be the future, if you want to be able to build around him, you have to know that this person's going to be able to work well with that head coach and they see eye to eye. Like, of course, there's going to be those times where the coach has to coach the player and give them that tough love and be that hard line of this, like, this is the standard, this is what we want, this is how it has to be done. But you have to know that they're going to be able to get along. Because I'm pretty sure in a different situation, like if it were, let's say, for example, for argument's sake, let's say Kyle Shanahan. No, actually, maybe not Kyle Shanahan, because people say that Brock Purdy's a system quarterback. Who's a Baker Mayfield? Great example. Let's say that they fire Todd Bowles. Baker Mayfield is going to be involved in those conversations. You want to know that Baker Mayfield's going to get along with that head coach. Like, they have to see eye to eye. It's just a question of Cam Ward is so young, both as an individual and as a player in the league. Has he earned that? And I'm not the person to say he has or hasn't, but how they go about it, I think, is going to be interesting for the Titans as an organization as to how serious they are about building around Cam Ward, and that'll tell Cam Ward how serious they are about building around him. And that's kind of what we'll have to see for that. So since I didn't get a chance to read Chase's thoughts first for Titans Chiefs, I'm going to read them off here for Broncos and Jags. He says, Broncos. I won't lie, the last few weeks the Jaguars have turned the corner, but so have the Broncos. Going to be a fun game. There's one thing I agree with. I think it's going to be a fun game. I think both of these teams are really good. The Jaguars have turned a corner, and I have been singing this man's praises for years on this show. I've been singing the praises of one Jakobi Meyers. And listen, the Jaguars, they cannot turn their season around when they brought in Jakobi Meyers, and they decided to sign him to a $60 million 3-year contract extension. I'm so happy for Jakobi Meyers because Jakobi Meyers' play style is very simple. It's, oh, hey, look, you threw me the ball. Well, you are paying me to catch the ball. And it'd be kind of cool if I did that, right? So how about I just yoink, and then he catches the ball, and then he looks around and he goes, oh, look, it's a first down. That's a good thing, right? Like, all he does is just catch whatever's thrown at him. Very great. If you look at his the completion percentage for Jakobi Meyers, if you look at those sorts of numbers around him as a receiver, incredible. Very, very solid player, and I'm glad that he was able to escape the cesspool that is the Las Vegas Raiders, and he's going to be on a team that is doing very much better for him. Like, let's put it this way: since he joined Jacksonville, he's had 38 targets and he's had 27 catches. So for those doing the math at home, that means he's got a 71% catch rate. And for the rest of the time this year, he had 49 targets in Vegas and he had 33 catches. So for those playing at home, that is a 67% catch radius or catch rate. That is absolutely incredible. I mean, really quickly, 33 plus 27 is what, 60? So 60 divided by 49 plus 38. 70%, 68.9. So 70% of the time when you throw the ball to Jakobi Meyers, he'll catch it. What more could you ask for? It's literally the job of a wide receiver, and he's doing it very, very well. He's not a flashy guy. He's not a flashy wide receiver who, goes and does like game-breaking shit, catches and things like that. But that's not what you want Jakobi Meyers for. That's what you want Brian Thomas Jr. for. That's what you want Travis Hunter for. Jakobi Meyers is a very solid wide receiver, and he has been one of the big turnarounds, big sparks of the Jaguars' resurgence. Between him and Rashid Shaheed, they are the two best offensive trades that happened this past trade deadline. Shaheed has helped spark the Seahawks, kept a lot of the receiving options alive when Torrey Horton went down and eventually went on IR. And I had a lot of high hope for Torrey Horton. I liked Rashid Shaheed in the Saints. He would normally be like 3 targets. So on a weekly basis, it would kind of be like 4 targets, 2 catches, 70 yards, 1 touchdown, right? Like that would be his stat line. And that's kind of what Seattle needed. But more importantly, as we saw last night, his ability to be a return specialist, right? Each guy brought something to the new team that the new team sorely needed. Jakobi Meyers provides reassurance to Trevor Lawrence that if he throws the ball, that guy's going to catch it. And this is a situation where Jakobi Meyers knows how to play against this Broncos defense. He's had to play against it multiple times every season in Vegas. He knows how to play against Pat Surtain. He knows how to play against Riley Moss. It is going to be a really fun game for Jakobi Meyers if you are somebody who's interested in the game within the game, right? The game within the game of a cornerback versus a wide receiver. That's going to be fascinating to watch. I'm interested to see what happens with Brenton Strange. I'm interested to see what happens with Brian Thomas Jr. He has not been the super streaky down the field electric wide receiver that he was last year, but he's back to being competent. And for a guy who was dropping a lot of passes, was having issues with his wrist coming into this season, beginning the first few weeks of the season, seeing that happen now, like where he's back to at least making the catches, that's great because you're able to move the ball. But most importantly, this Jaguars team can run the damn ball. Travis Etienne has been rejuvenated under the Liam Cohen offense. And man, if I remember they were talking like beginning of the season, especially after the draft, oh shit, Bashal Tutin's there, LaQuint Allen's there, Tank Bigsby's there, they can trade Travis Etienne. Well, they traded Tank Bigsby to the Eagles. They kept Travis Etienne, and it's been working. It's been working. Now, Bashal Tutin, I don't know if he's done for the season, but I know he's injured, and I don't think he's going to be in this game. But between Etienne, LaQuint Allen, they have the ability to run the ball. The issue is going to be for Denver. Can you stop it when Etienne's out of the game? When it is those, running back needs a break, let's get RB2 in there. Can you stop it? Because either it's going to be a pass play or you gotta try to get a TFL against Allen. If they can pull those off, that's how they win this game. And for the Jaguars, it's can you shut down this Denver offense? And which is a wild statement to make because for weeks the Denver offense didn't look that great. Like they looked competent. They looked like they were getting points, but they didn't look like they could handle teams. And last week, they took the team that was 5th in points allowed and like top 10 in yardage allowed. I think it was 6th in yardage allowed and wrecked them. Like the box score looks a lot different than what the actual game was. It was a punch for punch. But from the perspective of just Broncos offense against Packers defense, they were wrecking the Packers defense. By the time the first half was over, when Micah Parsons was still in the game, Bo Nix had 2 touchdowns and 1 incompletion. Yardage. He ended the game with 302 yards. Davion, I see you are headed out. So, sir, we want to thank you as always for tuning in. You have a great Christmas, sir. We appreciate all the time that you spend with us, and I appreciate you picking the Broncos. Say Jakobi Meyers is like, damn, this is what it feels like when a quarterback doesn't throw to the other team on Sundays. Yeah, it's a wild thing, and I'm sure you have plenty of experience with that with Geno Smith. But I'm gonna take a look and see. Let's see for this one. I think the Jaguars have just enough to edge out Denver. I don't know if I'm picking them just so that I keep picking against Denver just to not have my heart broken. But there's things that I like about the Jaguars offense enough that I think they match up well against Denver's defense. Jakobi Meyers is a great man beater wide receiver. Brian Thomas Jr. is a great man beater wide receiver. Also great. I mean, BTJ is an all-around great receiver. I'm going to take the Jags. Also, I'm going to keep this one interesting because I want to see, like, Chase and I have been kind of in lockstep here and there. I want to see, like, let's spice it up a little bit. Let's turn to Cardinals and Falcons. It's tough to find reasons to be that interested or that intrigued about this game. I think mainly the thing I'm interested in seeing is, can Michael Wilson continue to produce if Marvin Harrison Jr. is out with the heel injury? Simply because that gives some more options for the Cardinals when it comes to next year. Like, really, the Cardinals are playing for next year. These are two teams that, if I look at the Tankathon standings right now, one of them's picking sixth, and one of them doesn't have a first round pick because they traded it to the Rams. So, like, I guess from the Falcons' perspective, win, because then you don't make the Rams look even better in the trade. I don't know. But either way, this is a game where the Cardinals should be trying to lose, and the Falcons should be trying to also lose, I guess. But at least you'd help that second round pick. I'm gonna take the Falcons on this one just because they've got too much of an offensive firepower when they do want to use it. It's interesting from a fantasy game, right? Perspective, right? Like, this is the semifinals for fantasy teams. If you're in, Chase is picking the Falcons. I don't know, meaningless game. Let's take a look at this next one. This next one is going to be a lot more fun, a lot more meaningful. You've got a playoff contender in the Steelers in the AFC North, a playoff contender, playoff hopeful in the Lions NFC North. North versus North. There could only be one king of the North. The question is going to be whether it's the Steelers or the Lions. And I'm intrigued by the Steelers in this game. I just don't see... Like, the Lions have the ability to run the ball super well, and this is a Steelers team that is going to be out with, they've got TJ Watt ruled out from the lung injury and the surgery that he's having to repair his lung. Best well wishes to TJ Watt on that road to recovery, because that was a fluke kind of thing. He was not anticipating what was going to happen with that. Like, it's not a football thing, if I remember right. So I'm going to take the Lions here. I do like I like this game for both teams from the perspective of you know more about yourself, whether you win or lose, because it's a playoff team, right? Like for example, if the Lions beat the Falcons or the Steelers beat the Cardinals, you're not really learning that much about yourself, because you're like, okay, well, I should if I'm in the playoffs. And if they lost to them, then I guess you're learning something about yourself, right? But then you could say, like, oh, it was a fluke win or something like that. With this, it is a strength team versus a strength team. The question is, how strong is your team? Can you take this game now and play against another one? Because if you're the Lions, you have a very good, unfortunate fact that you may have to deal with, which is that you may have to take the Lions game on the road, right? You may be a wild card team, because it's going to be very hard to win the NFC North. And if you're a Steelers team, well, then you're looking at this going, well, I think I can. The question you have to answer for yourself there is, if I am forced to go on the road, do I do well? Because right now they are in control of their destiny as the division leader, but at 8-6, they have a Baltimore Ravens team that's 7-7, really close behind them. Like, they got to win this game to keep pace. Because if they go 8-7, and earlier in the day, or no, not later in the day, Sunday Night Football, the Ravens handle the Patriots, which is going to be tough. But if the Ravens handle the Patriots, then it's a situation where, yes, that division loss for the Steelers, that one division loss, that's what's holding on to you, because the Ravens are two losses in the division. But, like, they're on your heels. They are on your heels, and it's going to be a situation where that Week 18 game becomes that much more important, because you're home. You're home and having the Ravens come through. Let's see what Chase feels about this one. He's saying the Steelers. When I think the Steelers are done, they show up. I think they get this upset. I can see it. I can see a world where the Steelers win. I'm gonna take the Lions. I think it's going to be a bit of a Jahmyr Gibbs game, which is going to suck for me, because I'm playing against somebody in the semifinals who has Jahmyr Gibbs, and he already just had JSN, do a quick turnaround in the back half and overtime of that game. Ridiculous when people are able to build super teams because other people don't know how to trade. Anyway, Texans and the Raiders. I don't think we got to spend too much time here. If the Texans lose this game, one, I'm going to laugh my ass off. And two, it kind of cheapens every other team that's beaten the Texans, which I kind of don't want because that was the Denver Broncos. The Broncos got to win over them. So that would suck. But yeah, I don't think there's really no way that the Texans should lose this game. Let's see what Chase says. Picking the Texans. Ain't no way the Texans should lose this. Like word for word what I said. All right. Okay. Ravens, Patriots. Let's see. How does Chase feel about this one? He's picking the Patriots. Kind of a playoff simulation game for Drake May. Hostile place with a team who still has life. He's taking the Patriots. Am I going to talk myself into the Ravens winning this game because I want the Patriots to have like more people to acknowledge that the Patriots have had a very easy schedule and they're not that great of a team? I mean, I do want people to talk more about how the Patriots have had an easy schedule. They're not that great of a team. I do want people to talk about that, but I don't think that happens here. But I also don't think that beating a 7-7 Ravens team is more evidence that the Patriots are a good team. Like it just doesn't make sense to me either. I think the Patriots win here. They seem to be rolling. They seem to be doing well, and this is a fun game from the perspective of they both have running backs that can hit home run hits. Derrick Henry, TreVeyon Henderson. TreVeyon Henderson finally getting used. I would be alive in 2 redraft leagues if Mike Vrabel had just used TreVeyon Henderson like this from the beginning instead of wasting time, wasting your time, wasting my time, wasting his time, wasting everyone's time with Ramondre Stevenson. And that's not a knock against Ramondre Stevenson. It's just TreVeyon Henderson has just looked so damn dynamic when he has the ball in his hands. I'll be taking the Patriots on this one. And that leads us with Monday Night Football. Colts host the Niners. Old man Rivers. Philip Rivers has been looking good in that game against the Seahawks. You would not have known this. You would not expect this. But if between him, a quarterback who hasn't played in 5 years, and Sam Darnold, who is leading one of the better offenses, one of the better, if not the best offense in the league, with JSN putting up insane numbers and Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet doing, between those two quarterbacks, one of them was able to get a touchdown. You would not anticipate that it was Philip Rivers and not Sam Darnold. You'd be like, wait a minute, that doesn't make a lot of sense. But that's what happened. Philip Rivers was able to figure out this Seahawks defense and was able to put up a touchdown. Not a lot of touchdowns, 1 touchdown, but that's still 1 more than Sam Darnold did against a Colts defense missing Sauce Gardner. Whew. Can he do it again against a Niners team that is playing for the playoffs? The Niners have to go punch for punch with all of these teams because this is a situation where if you're the Niners, you have to try to you can be a playoff team, but you want to be a division leader because you understand that the division is really the power. You can't be a wild card team in the NFC because all these NFC teams are really, really good. And it's a situation where you would not be in a position to go up against the Buccaneers or the Panthers, right? You would have to go up against a different team. You don't get that freebie. So either you need to win the division or you got to try to beat out the Rams, currently the Rams, for the 5th seed so that you can go and face either the Buccaneers or the Panthers. So, hey, you got to win where you got to win. And right now, this is the division, right? Ignoring the terrible last Cardinals. The Seahawks are 12-3. The Rams are 11-4. The Niners are 10-4. If the Niners win, boop, they're 11-4. They're at least tied with the Rams. And for the Niners, they play the Seattle Seahawks at the end of this year. And they're going to be running a bit of a playoff gauntlet in the sense that they'll be playing the Colts, then they play the Bears, and they finish with the Seahawks. Can they pull off a win here? I think they can. I think they take this one. And it sucks for the Colts, but Daniel Jones went down. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And let's see how Chase feels about this one. He is taking the Niners. Niners will win this game and crush the Colts, sadly. So there you have it. He did not get a chance to send me his Titans pick or Chiefs pick yet, but I think he would pick the Chiefs even with the injuries. Which I guess, you know, what I was saying earlier was just like the idea that you would still be considered that much of an underdog. Like the fact that this is 136, 158, and Bears are 124 to 106 for the Packers, like that's just wild. Like if that was what this money line was, but the Titans were favored, I would at least get it. Like I'd be like, okay, you're at least respecting the Titans having home field advantage and all those sorts of things. But man. But anyway, guys, these are the picks for this week, week 16 of the NFL season. I want to thank you all for tuning in once again. I am going to have to figure out what our schedule looks like for next week, because really it's like just the 23rd and the 24th, because Christmas we got football on Christmas. But until next time, guys, remember, take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll catch you all later.